What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk about Ager's Scepter, and some pretty awesome builds which you can set up in order to get some pretty massive super energy gains. Combining the stasis weapon with some stasis fragments and various exotics in the game, there are some really fun and strong setups right now, but they're also going to be really strong when the catalyst for the weapon drops. So let's jump in and break it down. If you guys enjoy the video, a rating down below really does help us out on the channel, but now let's get into it. Of course, Ager's Scepter comes with the exotic bonus that allows final blows with the weapon to generate a slowing burst around the defeated target. And so essentially, some of the targets within the radius of the enemy you take down will actually end up frozen. And when we look at the exotic catalyst perk for the weapon, of course a spoiler alert is necessary because it isn't available yet, but it allows us to drain super energy, overflowing the magazine and empowering the beam with bonus damage, and the ability to slow and freeze targets until the magazine or super energy runs out, or the weapon is stowed. We'll only be able to activate this when super energy is full, and so getting supers as often as possible is going to be key, but Ager's Scepter can already help us with that in a significant way. And so looking at the stasis fragment Whisper of Bonds, defeating a frozen target grants us super energy, and it's a really effective perk for gaining super energy on frozen target kills, because of the way Ager's Scepter works when you've got enemies grouped up. It's very easy to freeze quite a few of them. And outside of our stasis abilities, on the most part we haven't been able to freeze this number of enemies so consistently as we can right now with Ager's Scepter. And immediately we can see the kind of super gains that we're able to get with this, even without kind of setting up a build around it. Whisper of Bonds and Ager's Call are incredibly strong. On our Warlock here though, we have Mantle of Battle Harmony as well, and takedowns with weapons that have a damage type matching a subclass element grant you super energy. While your super energy is full, you instead gain a temporary bonus to weapon damage of the type matching a subclass element. And of course we have a stasis weapon and a stasis subclass, so the super gains if we just keep freezing targets are absolutely awesome. Frozen targets are granting super energy, and that's really easy between Ager's Scepter and our abilities, but on top of this, Mantle of Battle Harmony is further increasing the super gains we get on stasis kills. And so when we do get access to the catalyst, some of these kinds of setups are going to enable us to benefit from the way that Ager's Scepter performs passively right now, and from those subclass perks, we'll be able to get those really frequent supers, which we'll be able to drain into Ager's Scepter to empower the beam with bonus damage. There are a couple of additional fragments and well mods which can be helpful too though. So we've got Ice Flare bolts where shattering a frozen target spawns seekers that track and freeze other nearby targets, and Frost Pulse, where casting Rift generates a shockwave that freezes nearby combatants. And Ice Flare bolts in particular is really helpful as it gives us more frozen targets to actually kill. And then we've got Whisper of Rending, and kinetic weapons do increase damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. Whisper of Shards, where shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts grenade recharge rate, and shattering additional crystals increases the duration of the benefit. And then Whisper of Durance, where slow from abilities lasts longer, and for abilities that linger, their duration will also increase. But of course some of these mods are a little more interchangeable. Altogether, ensuring that we're getting as many frozen target kills as fast as possible and then taking them down in groups, we're getting a bunch of super energy. I would, however, totally shout out having other weapons with bonuses like Thresh or Harmony. While it's fun to kill a bunch of stuff with Ager's Scepter, it does burn ammo pretty fast. So guns with perks that can increase our damage with Ager's, or give us more super energy are a really good shout. And bear in mind also, elemental well mods can be a great addition too. Things like Font of Wisdom on the helmet, where picking up elemental wells that match energy subclass type grants a temporary significant increase to intellect, improving super recharge rate. That's one we're actually rocking on the Warlock here. But this can be replicated on other classes in one form or another, particularly because of Whisper of Bonds. Without setting up any super energy mods right here on my Titan, letting loose with Ager's Scepter on some enemies, we get a bunch of super energy really quickly. The same goes for Hunters. It could even be interesting down the road with stuff like Orpheus Rigs, where we're going to be able to gain super back nice and quick, but Focusing Lens is going to pair with that as well, letting our light abilities do bonus damage to enemies affected by stasis. So those are really just examples of what we could potentially do with it. And for other elemental wells that could be worth looking at, again, Font of Wisdom, where picking up elemental wells will grant a temporary significant increase to intellect. And then primarily we're going to want to focus on mods that are actually going to get elemental wells dropped on the ground, so elemental armaments on the arms, and weapon takedowns with a damage type matching your subclass have an escalating chance to spawn an elemental well. Font of Might on the chest, where picking up a well that matches a subclass grants a temporary weapon damage bonus on weapons of the same element. And this is where we could also get some significant weapon damage. If you're rocking something like Reed's Regret with stasis damage and Particle Deconstructor, massive weapon damage also becomes another potential element of the build. But then look at things like Elemental Light on the legs, where defeating a combatant with your super spawns Elemental Wells, and even mods like Fire and Ice from the artifact, and defeating champions will spawn a random array of Solar and Stasis Wells, which once again are going to enable us to earn even more super energy back, as well as getting more weapon damage and things like that. So there's a lot of potential with this, guys, and I'll be curious to hear any builds that you've set up down below. But again, Whisper of Bonds, the Stasis Fragment, and Ager's Scepter together on their own are pretty fun, and from there we can kind of build around various possibilities, which are also going to synergize really nicely with the Catalyst, which is coming up soon. So share your thoughts down below, but if you guys have enjoyed the video, a rating below also really helps us on the channel. If you're new around here, be sure to get subscribed so I can keep you up to date with everything related to the game. But otherwise, for now, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you all have an awesome day.